Hi, I'm Tim Kerfen and welcome to House Talk. Today in the studio we have a friend of mine in the world's greatest appraiser, Randy Barcella. How you doing, Randy?
Good morning, Tim Kerfen, the legend of radio. I got my first start with Tim Kerfen about 11 years in radio, but yeah, I'm a real estate appraiser for 30 years. I'm also a real estate broker. I've also got a TV show, not a TV show, a radio show on AM 560 The Answer, which is realestaterevealed.net. Enjoyed every Sunday morning at 8 a.m. But I got some exciting news to share with you, Tim, about the appraisal industry.
Okay, hit me.
I've been going around to all the real estate office meetings the past year and doing home buyer and seller seminars the past year. Dispelling the myths versus reality, because a lot of people say that that FHA calls for repairs. As soon as I get in the real estate office...
Well, hold on a second. Hold on. Back up for a minute. FHA calls for repairs. What is FHA?
FHA, they insure mortgages.
Okay, so if you're a new buyer and you might not be able to get a conventional mortgage, you can go FHA?
Right, because conventional you might have 5% down, 10% typically old school, 20% down. But with FHA, you can get it in as little as 3.5% down. But there's this urban myth that's going around that I don't want to sell my house FHA because it's not going to fly FHA because FHA is going to send an inspector out and they're going to call for a ton of repairs.
Well, FHA doesn't do inspections.
Okay, real estate appraisals, thank you. The conventional appraisals and the FHA appraisals and the VA appraisals are on the same form.
Yeah.
So 20 years ago, I was at the meeting in Lisle. It was at the Hilton in Lisle. And FHA Home Ownership Center came there from Atlanta. And they said, this is 20 years ago, we had the room fill about 350 people, underwriters from all the banks, appraisers, loan officers. And they said, FHA now, we are no longer in the calling for repair business. They used to have a 4-page checklist sheet. It was called
I remember, it was huge.
VC sheet. It was valuation condition, where the appraiser had a checklist of repairs on a house. The last 20 years, when they came here, FHA said, we're not in the calling for repair business any longer. If your home complies with all local, building, and zoning codes, and there's no health and safety concerns, it's okay with us.
Yeah.
However, the urban myth still goes around that we don't want to sell our house FHA, and then I called to do an appraisal on a house, and the realtor says, hey, Randy, wait a couple weeks. You're the FHA guy, and we got to get the house ready for FHA. I said, why? He says, well, we have to have the gutters and downspouts and eaves and
I hear that all the time, too.
And we have to have GFI outlets in the kitchen and the bathroom, and we have to have handrails and smoke and carbon monoxide alarms, and there's just a ton of... I said, no, it's urban myth. There is no FHA inspector. And there is no FHA checklist, and the appraisal on an FHA and a VA and conventional appraisal are the same.
Right. Okay, so FHA. So let me just recap on this. So you're selling your house, you go to the realtor, and the realtor says, do you want to go FHA? People are like, well, what is FHA? Well, the realtor probably tell them, hey, you're required to do a lot of repairs, and if the FHA inspector comes in and says that these repairs need to be done, the seller most of the time has to perform those repairs, correct?
There is no...
If they want to sell the house. I'm just saying, generally, that's what people think.
Yes, that's what people think.
Okay, but that's not true, correct?
Well, it's not true. And when I go to
So don't be afraid of going FHA.
Yes, because 53% of all the home sales now are FHA because people can get in with as little as 3.5% down.
Yeah, so you're taking for a conventional loan, you got this many people. With FHA, you can have this many people.
Yes. When I go into the home buyers and seller seminars, there's hundreds of people, and I say, how many people in the audience think that FHA calls for repairs?
Everybody.
And I go to the real estate office meetings at their offices. I say, how many of you real estate agents here think that FHA calls for repairs? Hands go up. It's not true. It's urban myth.
All right, let me ask you this. What about handrails and things like that?
Well, if you're in a house...
Or if you see mold.
If you're in a house and you're in the front and you see there's a 2-story open foyer...
Yeah.
First floor to second floor.
Without a banister there,
you have to have railings. That's a safety
So you'll
issue.
call that out.
Right.
Okay. But when the conventional...
they're all the same. FHA, VA, and conventional. If there's a health and safety concern...
You're going to talk about it, so it doesn't matter.
Our job is to take pictures of it, the condition, and write it down and submit it to the underwriter.
What about paint chips?
Well, when you sell a house, you have to fill out the lead-based paint disclosure.
Yeah.
So in the last 30 years, if there's peeling paint on a house, that's not an FHA, VA, or conventional repair because you cannot buy lead-based paint since 1978.
Yeah.
It's illegal.
Yeah. Well, there's like I know the Dutch are still making it, and the Chinese are still making it, but you can't buy it here to paint
No, you
your
can't.
house.
And so if I go in a house and it's 100 years old, I see peeling paint, it's
you'll
probably
call it.
lead-based paint.
But,
And you have to have that remediated.
well, if your house was before 1978, you probably got lead-based paint in that
Right,
house.
right.
So even though if you paint, if you take a utility knife and you go back to this is several layers underneath, you'll probably discover lead-based paint.
Yeah.
But the lead-based paint thing is mostly about airborne lead. But that's a whole different show.
Well, a lot of the lead-based paint poisoning is not coming from little kids eating the
Paint chips.
Somebody came in
Yeah.
with what's not professional. They're scraping and sanding.
Yeah.
And they repaint, but they left a lot of the powder on the floor.
That's the stuff you got to be worried about.
Right.
That's why whenever you do a lead test, they come in with a cheesecloth and they do what they call a dust swipe or a desk swipe.
Yes.
Or wherever it's dusty, and they analyze the dust.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was in an appraisal in the south suburbs here lately, and the buyer happened to be there, and the home inspector was there. And as I'm going around, I go into the kitchen and the bathroom, and there were 3-prong outlets, not the GFIs.
Yeah.
And the buyer came to me and said, "Hey, Randy, you're going to call for this because FHA calls for GFI outlets in the kitchen and bathroom."
The buyer said that?
Yeah. I said, "No, I'm not going to call for it because it is grounded."
That's your inspector's job.
The inspector said, "Randy, even though you're not going to call for it, it's the village code that we have to have GFI outlets." So then I go in to another part of the house, and the buyer said, "Hey, you're going to call for carbon monoxide alarms and smoke alarms on each of the levels." I said, "No, I'm not." And I have a letter from the VA that forbids all of us appraisers to enforce any of the state of Illinois laws. So if you're
so FHA, VA, appraisal, they're the same as well.
they're the same as conventional.
Right.
If it's a health and safety concern, I'm going to call for it. For instance,
Which any appraisal, whether it's
Yes.
VA, FHA, or conventional, you're going to call for it.
if I walk up to a house and I see the paint chips are all curling,
Yeah, you're going to say something about it.
and I see water stains on the second floor,
Or if you go in the basement, you see a
Yes.
foot of water down
And I
there,
go
you're
in
going
the
to say, hey,
basement.
there's a foot of water down
Yes.
there. Right.
and if I go, and
common
if it's a
sense stuff.
100-year-old house and there's peeling paint everywhere, chances are it's lead-based paint.
Yeah.
However, if it's a cosmetic, I did an appraisal recently, and it was a townhouse, really nice. The lady retired. She went into a retirement home.
Mm-hmm.
And the person that bought it called me 2 months later. They go, "You're Randy Barcella, the appraiser on my townhouse that I just bought?" I said, "Yes." She says, "I have a bone to pick with you." I said, "What?" She
How
goes,
come you didn't call this, right?
she said one of the jets in the master bathroom whirlpool weren't working. There was some electrical problem behind the wall with the switch. And I said, "Did you get a home inspection done before you bought this townhouse?" She goes, "No, I got an FHA loan, and you're the FHA inspector." And I said, "There is no FHA inspector. That went away 20 years ago, and it was your job to get an inspection."
It's not an appraiser's job to determine if the whirlpool works or not.
And here's
And generally, that's up to a home inspector.
And here, this is straight from the FHA guidelines, 4001 guideline. The role of the appraiser, observation is limited to readily observable conditions and is not a comprehensive as an inspection performed by a home inspector.
Yeah.
When I do
but even a home inspection is non-invasive.
Right.
You don't take walls down. You can't see what's behind walls and things.
And it says on the FHA competency disclosure form, this appraisal is not a home inspection, and the appraiser is not acting as a home inspector. FHA appraisals, right out of the guideline book here I'm reading from you, FHA appraisals are no guarantee that the property is free from defects. The appraisal only establishes the value of the property.
The appraiser's job is to tell you what the house is worth.
Correct.
And you're working really on the behalf of the bank.
Correct.
You're really, I mean, the bank has you in there to make sure that their investment is sound.
Correct.
Period.
And as per FHA here, the only intended use of the appraisal should be solely to assist FHA in assisting in the mortgage risk of a property. There is no FHA inspector at all. And so if I walk into a house and there's no health or safety concerns, and it complies with local building and zoning codes, you're okay. You're totally okay. So the urban myth, as I go from month to month to month,
I'm supposed to have this phone off.
to all the home buying seminars and all the real estate office seminars, don't be afraid of FHA because there is no FHA inspector. That's urban myth.
Right.
And FHA does not call for repairs. So that's just a big thing that I wanted to get across to everybody. It doesn't matter if you're going FHA, VA, or conventional. In fact, Tim.
Yes.
I had a house in the south suburbs here. This is another big example. It was FHA, and regardless of what it was, the backyard, the power lines were down from the alley to the floor.
So laying on the ground?
Yeah.
From ComEd?
Yeah, and inside the house, it looked like mold everywhere.
You didn't go in that backyard, did you?
I saw it and I stayed away.
Yeah, if you see ComEd power lines down, don't go in the backyard.
And in the
call
house,
ComEd.
I don't know about if it was apparent mold. There was black spots everywhere in the house.
Probably mold.
All the utilities were off and the furnace was off. So the mortgage company came to me, and you know it's a big mortgage company. They said, Randy, flip your FHA appraisal to conventional because they're going to go as is. And I said, you're going to still have the same repairs because it's a health and safety concern.
That's correct.
They said, we know, and all of us know that conventional is as is. I said, no. Here is
See, and a lot of people think that these are all the same. I mean,
No.
yeah. I mean, if you walk in a house that's engulfed with mold, of course you're going to say something.
Here's from Fannie Mae, the guidelines. I'm reading from
What's
here.
Fannie Mae?
You know the loan officer, it's branch manager.
Okay.
They said, we all know that if you go FHA, it's as is. I said, the only time you can go as is if it's a cash buyer. But you can't get a mortgage, and if it's a health and safety. Here's right out of Fannie Mae guidelines.
Yeah, but what's Fannie Mae, though? Explain to people
It's
what
a
that
conventional loan.
Okay, it's
Conventional loan.
by the government.
Federal National Mortgage Association.
Okay.
Right. It says,
Backed by the government.
if you're going to go as is, conventional, the appraisal report has to confirm that there's no physical deficiencies or conditions that would affect the safety, soundness, or structural integrity of the house as indicated. A certification of completion is required to confirm that the alterations have been completed prior to delivery of the
Who
loan.
certifies that? You or the contractor?
Contractor.
Okay. So what they're saying here is that if there's repairs to be performed, the seller.
You can go as is as long as there's no health and safety concerns.
Gotcha.
But
if
were
there's
on this
repairs,
house.
you have to have
Correct.
paperwork from
and,
the
and
contractor.
the final paragraph here with Fannie Mae, if you're going conventional, it permits the appraisal. It can permit you to go as is, if provided the existing conditions are minor and do not affect the safety, soundness, or structural integrity. So if you can go as is conventional, if it's in at least average condition, livable, all the utilities are on, and there's no health and safety concerns. If it's really bad, like this example I just said, you can't go as is FHA. I mean conventional, because there were health and safety concerns.
Okay, gotcha. So just to kind of recap here, you walk in a house, you see that there's issues, mold, banisters missing or railings missing, big hole in the floor. You're going to call that out,
Yes.
whatever, no matter what kind of
Yes.
appraisal it is.
Yes.
In FHA, VA, conventional, it's all the same appraisal.
And the appraiser cannot call for the repairs. And here's the final note here from FHA. It says, okay, I send in the appraisal.
That's a really great line because you're there to tell the bank
Yes.
how much the house is worth, not
Right.
repairs.
So I saw that there were health and safety concerns. I took pictures. I sent it into the mortgage company with the appraisal. But the rule is, regardless of the appraisal suggested repairs, it's the mortgagee who will determine the repairs that are to be completed. So the appraiser cannot call for repairs. I said, I got a call last month, Randy, go out to do this final inspection on this house. The appraiser's on vacation. I said, what was the repair? Well, they asked to scrape and paint. It was here in Palos Hills.
Yeah, but
Scrape and
why
paint
is
the
that
shed.
your job?
Scrape and paint the shed, put primer and another coat on. And I said to the mortgagee,
And they want you to go out there and inspect
to make
it.
sure it was done. The repair. I said, well,
And done properly.
I said to the mortgagee, the loan officer, and the underwriter, I said, this is not an FHA, VA, or conventional repair. This shed is 5 years old. There's no lead-based paint on there. So
Yeah.
either the appraiser is not up to continuing education, or they're just trying to look for an extra reinspection fee of $100.
Right. I don't understand why that's your job to go out there to reinspect anyways. I don't get it.
I agree.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this.
Yes.
Kind of switch gears a little bit. We're in Palos Heights.
Yes.
Worth, Hickory Hills. How are the values here for people that own houses here? I mean, is this a good time to sell
It's a good time to buy.
and sell?
It's a healthy market. As we know, the real estate crash was from 2007 to about 2013. It lasted a long time.
Sure did. I remember that.
It went from here to here, and then it started coming back. And the last 3 years, it's a lot of good, healthy activity. Interest rates are low, and property values have been climbing back up steadily and slowly.
I remember that era. I had 3 little kids at the time and a mortgage.
Yeah.
You know, and I just keep the blinders on. I don't know how everybody made it through that little period. It was horrible. Remember that?
Yeah. But I want to tell everybody out there listening, Everybody's been conditioned over 35, 40 years that FHA calls for repairs and stay away. The urban myth I want to leave you with is that FHA does not call for repairs. There is no FHA inspector.
There was a day where they did, but
there was
it's
a day
no
that
longer.
they
It's
did.
gone,
That was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So an FHA, VA, and conventional appraisal, they're the same, and they go on the same form. If your house is in at least average condition, livable, and there's no health and safety concerns, you're okay.
Well, what's livable? Kitchen sink?
All the utilities have to be on. The water, potable water. You have to eat, heating, electrical.
Yep.
And here's what the mold. Good question on the mold, Tim. The only person that can tell you if it's mold is a mold tester. So I had an appraisal come back. Well, they were on vacation. They said, "Hey, Randy, go check on this house." The appraiser called for mold remediation because the appraiser said there's mold in the house. No appraiser can tell you that there's mold in the house because the appraiser does not know. If you think it's mold, you take
Get it
pictures.
tested.
And you have to have it tested.
You call guys like me.
Yes. The only person that can tell if it's mold is getting tested.
Well, here's the thing. If you go in there and say it's mold, and you might know it's mold, but someone's going to come back to you and say, "Well, how do you know it's mold?" Well, because it looks like mold. Did anybody test it? No. So
I'm not going to that liability.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, if there's mold, you have to have it tested. And real common areas to see mold are like in the attic, in the basement. Very common.
Right.
On the attic, on the plywood. And normally in an attic, it's caused from poor ventilation. Basement, poor ventilation, moisture. Should always keep a dehumidifier in your basement.
And so if you're listening to the show and you want me to come out and speak at your real estate office or a big home buyer seller seminar, your homeowner, whatever, my number, direct line, 708 870-9400, 708-870-9400.
Even if you're thinking about selling.
Yes.
And here's the thing, okay, to the audience. if you're selling a house, it's always a great idea to have your own appraisal, okay? What is that, $350?
Well, appraisals typically cost between $375 and $500. It depends on the size of the house, the square footage.
And they have a home inspection. So boom, you know exactly what your house is worth, okay? If you have a home inspection before you sell, you'll know what to expect.
Yes.
And let's just say you have zero repairs, which is rare, but if you have $20,000 in repairs, at least you know you have $20,000 in repairs. You can perform those repairs, or you can price the house accordingly.
Well, you know what? It's a lot of confidence
Or
builder.
you could, yeah.
I have homeowners that say, "Randy,
go in with confidence.
Come out and appraise my house. I'm going to sell it. I'm going to give it to a real estate a realtor to sell my house." But if I call 5 different realtors, they're going to give me 5 different prices.
That's right. Just like in this office, in this studio here, you can count how many lights, and I'll come up with different number. Absolutely.
They call me, "Randy Barcella, you're an expert. Tell me what my house is worth. I know what it's worth." Now I say you also should get a home inspection done, because if a potential buyer walks through the house and they have Tim Kerfin's home inspection, says nothing wrong with the house, Randy Barcella's appraisal said it's worth what it's worth. That's a lot of confidence.
It's a lot of confidence to go in with. And the statistics show that your buyer, 30% of the time, will accept your pre-sale home inspection. Very smart to have both done. How cool would it be if you were to sell your house, okay, and the people walked in and they saw a folder with the appraisal, folder with the home inspection.
They did their homework.
They did their homework, and the homeowner has all the repairs listed and with the backup receipts. Wow, that's a lot of confidence, and it's very powerful.
And I also heard, some people say, "Hey, Randy, I don't want to pay for a home inspection. I got a guy who knows a guy," and then my uncle, part-time, and then they show up in this white proverbial van with no markings on it, and they find nothing wrong with it. And then they go and move in.
That's not a legal inspection, right?
Right, and they find out that there's a lot of problems with the house, and you really need to get a home inspection done thoroughly on your house.
Home inspection. Listen, your father's been a contractor for 100 years, built 1,000 houses. Inspecting is a different business, totally.
Yes.
Totally different business. And I promise you, I don't care how much experience your brother-in-law has. If he's at the inspection, I'm there. I'm going to find things he's not, because that's my business, and it's a totally different business.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, to get back to the values in Palos Heights, pretty strong right now.
Yeah. So property values have been on the increase the last 3 years, and it's been really good.
Okay. So
those days of property values falling 35, 45, 65%, that happened in 2007, 8, 9. I can't foresee that happening anymore. For 10 years, we've had interest rates around 4%, which is good. And property values in the southern suburbs and Chicago Southland are really good right now. It's location by location, of course, as to who's going up higher than the other ones.
Yeah.
Just great information. So, if another last thing here, if an appraiser calls for a lot of repairs on your house as it's going for sale, and you got a checklist, they seem like there are a lot of cosmetic repairs. you ask the appraiser to tell you where in the HUD 1000 4000.1 guideline book does it say I have to do that, and it doesn't.
So you could challenge them.
Yeah, the latest FHA guideline book came out about a year and a half ago. It's 4000.1, and it's the FHA guideline book. So when I had if an appraiser comes in and says, I want GFI outlets everywhere, and I want handrails everywhere, and I want smoke and carbon monoxide,
They really have no business talking about that.
And I want peeling paint on a shed or peeling paint on a deck that's only 5 years old, which is not a repair at all, these are not in the HUD guideline book. So you have to ask the appraiser and the loan officer, I'm not doing any of these because show me where in the HUD 4000.1 guideline it says I have to do these, and I'm happy to do those.
You talk to your home inspector about that.
2/3 of the repairs that are being called lately with appraisers are just not legitimate, and I don't know if they need more continuing education or they just need an extra reinspection fee. And I had loan officers tell me,
but a lot of these buyers and sellers and mortgage people take that as gospel.
Right, and it's not. And this whole urban myth, it has to continue to be dispelled, because I've been going around real estate offices and home buyer and seller seminars for the past 2 years, educating people on this, and it has to continue. I had a loan officer that said, Randy, go out and check this final inspection repair because the appraiser's not around, and it was a cosmetic repair. And I said, this is not a repair. It's not even in the HUD guidelines. It's not even in Fannie Mae guidelines.
Yeah, why are we bothering with this?
What they said is, Randy, we're only 10 days away from closing. Do it anyways, but sooner or later, somebody's just got to make a stance and say, look, I'm not doing this because it's not in the guidelines.
And meanwhile, that could be like in Romeoville or something.
And then also, too, if you have an appraiser that calls for a lot of unnecessary repairs that are not in any of the guidelines, it could blow a deal. In other words, you got to buy and sell.
For no reason.
A buy and a sell is also predicated on another buy and a sell. So you have 4 families that can't move because of the repairs.
Yeah,
and if should not have been called for anyways.
And if any of those pieces are dropped, or there's a hiccup or a roadblock in any of that, I mean, all that is dead over nothing.
No, I'm
over
excited.
Nothing.
The real estate market is really good. Interest rates are low. Property values have been going up in most all areas in the Chicagoland areas. So it's really nice.
Okay, so if someone wants a pre-sale appraisal, what's your number? Yeah,
708-870-9400. That's 708-870-9400. Or get out to my website, randybarcella.com, randybarcella.com. And also, too, if you want to know about my biography, my background, all in detail on my radio show page, which is realestaterevealed.net, www.realestaterevealed.net. And click on biography. It'll tell you all about my biography and testimonies about me. And you can learn all about me, and I'm happy to help you.
You've been around for a long, long time.
And as a matter of fact, a lot of loan officers say, Randy, I don't know if this, we're confused. I don't know if this is going to fly FHA or conventional or VA or whatnot. How much do you charge to go out to the house and look at it? Nothing. I won't charge anybody anything because this is what I do. I love helping out in the community. So I'm happy to help a loan officer or homeowner, and I'll go out there and I say, nope, you're good. There are no major repairs here, and you're good. So I'm happy to help all the time, and I'm not going to charge you any extra fees.
And if they have any questions, they can call you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Simple.
Yeah.
So I think our advice today is think about if you're selling a house, oh my God, especially if you've been in the house 20 years, 30 years, or get a pre-sale appraisal, get a pre-sale home inspection. You know what's going on, and like you said, you go in with confidence. It's just totally the way to go. And I'll bet you sell that house faster.
I agree. I agree. What I'm seeing now is if you have an appraisal already done when somebody walks into your house, and you have a home inspection already done, that's a lot of worry gone.
A lot of worry
from the buyer
gone.
Coming through.
What if this? What if that? Where are they going to find this and that? And you lose sleep over it.
And also too, if your home shows well, and it's priced right, it's selling within a week. I have appraisals this year, all summer long. Let's say it listed for $199. I'm seeing appraisal contracts at $205 over the list price, even $210 because there's multiple offers on the house.
They're getting more than what they're asking for, right? I see it all the time now.
Yeah, it's good to see that
all
come
the
back.
Time. Well, we're talking about going up to Mid-Villa tonight to have a beer and a pizza. So
wow, I like pizza.
Yeah, so if you see us up there, be sure to say hi.
But I got to tell you, how's the home inspection business this year?
You know what? Pretty decent. It was a nice summer. We're busy all summer, Of course, this is a slow season. It starts to slow. Right now, it kind of hits a wall.
Right.
We probably pick up. I always say after Super Bowl, we pick up as far as the home inspection.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but we're all working hard, just trying to do a nice job, and just get bigger and badder and
Yeah,
keep
and
going.
as we're concluding on the show, as I wanted to remind you once again, the urban myth is FHA calls for repairs. FHA does not have a home inspector, does not have an FHA inspector, and FHA appraisers do not call for repairs.
And the same thing with VA. VA, FHA, it's all the
They
same.
do not call for repairs. The FHA, VA, and conventional appraisal is on the same form. If your house complies with all local building and zoning codes, and there's no health or safety concerns, you are okay.
You're good to go.
So don't be afraid to get involved and sell FHA because...
And I just want to say this. I don't know any house, unless it's brand new, that complies with current city code. There's always something to do. Like a set of steps 50 years ago is going to be different than the specs on a set of steps today.
Yes.
Handrails, smoke detectors, carbon monoxides. There's going to be issues, okay? So, in Palos Heights and Worth, the building departments do not do pre-sale inspections, okay? So that's why you want to rely on your home inspector. But as far as putting a new set of stairs in your house because you want to bring up the current code, no, ain't gonna happen.
Right.
Ain't gonna happen.
Right.
Things like GFIs, which are the little outlets with the two little buttons from protect you from getting electrocuted. Yeah, those are things you want to do. Smoke detectors, carbon monoxides, handrails. If you have trip hazards out on the driveway,
Just call your local building department here in Palos Heights, Orland Park, Hickory Hills, wherever it is, and say, what do you guys require? What's code when I'm selling my house? And if you get your house complied with your local village and township codes, you are good.
Yeah, but they don't do pre-sale inspections. So
Right.
yeah, so don't, and again, call me.
Call me, yeah, right. Any one of us.
Yep.
I cover all of northern Illinois. I'm from the southwest suburbs. I'm originally from the south side of Chicago, Roseland and West Pullman, if anybody's listening.
South side, I know.
And then I moved to Palos Heights. I lived in Palos Heights here for many years, and I lived in Orland Park now for many years. So, yeah, I'm just excited to
All right, buddy.
be here with you.
I'll see you up at Mid-Villa tonight, and if any of the listeners or viewers see us over there tonight, say hi.
Yeah.
And appreciate having you on. I think this was a great segment.
Yeah, once again, my number, 708-870-9400, direct line.
Okay. And
Happy Thanksgiving.
Tim
Tim Kerford, thanks for having me on your show.
Anytime. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thanks for watching House Talk.
Bye-bye.